Dr. Paul Gausman, Gausman, Superintendent of Schools for the Lincoln Public Schools. And I'll just look in the middle. How about that?
Sounds good. All right, yeah, if you want to start with an opening statement.
Sure. So today, going to spend a little time talking with you about the district's planning and processes related to the pandemic. Obviously, the pandemic is still with us. It's been a long journey to get to this point, but we've got a bit of a journey ahead of us as we go. The guiding priorities for us, I think, are most important. And the number one guiding priority we have is to keep our schools open. We know that students learn best when they're with the staff members, often in the very same room, and doing all that they can together to move education forward. And so, number one, we've got to keep our schools open. Obviously, in addition to that, we've got to keep all of our staff members safe, our students safe, and families. But in addition to that, we have this opportunity because of the pandemic to use this time to show students how adults work through challenging situations in life. And we don't want to miss that opportunity. And so as we move forward to begin the school year, we have put in place a targeted process for those who might wear masks. And that's to say that anyone who wants to wear a mask may wear a mask. We certainly don't discourage anyone from wearing a mask. But separate from that, we are not going to make a universal mask mandate decision, whether to wear them or not to wear them, for the entirety of the district. I ask you all to understand that we're 131.41 square miles in the Lincoln Public Schools. We've got some 70 plus buildings. We've got over 8 million square feet of instructional space. And what is badly needed in one section of town might not be as necessary in another section. And so we believe at this time the right process is to use this targeted model. We are working very closely and have continued to work closely with Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department. And they've been such a great support to us. And we even met with them this week and continued to share our protocol and planning with them. And they endorse that and seem to believe that we're doing the right things. But we also want to be very cognizant that things can change. And should we see a spike of challenges and illness in a certain building, a certain classroom, a certain hallway, we may change the decision for that particular portion of our community. And so, I want to be very clear as it relates to that regarding masking. We also are communicating with our staff members today just about the protocol for COVID-19 moving forward. There were times where we were sending out daily quantities of positive tests and those sorts of things. We've moved to a dashboard on our website so that anyone who wants the information can get that information. But we are not going to inundate them with emails about that every single day, as we once needed to do earlier in this pandemic. And so very proud coming from the outside to see how this team has handled the pandemic thus far. I think they've done it very well. I think the partnerships in this community have been very strong. And I just hope to be a part of the team moving it forward in this new era of the changes and the ways the pandemic is rolling forward. And with that, I'd take any questions you might have. Please.
What do those conversations, maybe with the health department, look like? Have they expressed any concern about a possible spike when headed back to school?
Yeah, the numbers that we've seen, we've had the blessing of having a number of students in summer school. And so, this district, when having summer school, is still one of the largest districts in the state, thousands of students and staff who are in. And we've been able to track some of their interrelations and illnesses as it went through there. And at this time, we don't have reason to believe that the protocol need to be strengthened beyond what we're doing right now and the same protocol that I'm sharing with you today. So I think we're in strong shape. When we talked with the health department, they were supportive not only of what we've done through the summer, but what we are planning to do as we start school on August 15.
Can you talk me through what the protocol should look like if a teacher or a student gets COVID, how long you're maybe recommending that isolation period and what reporting maybe should look like.
Yeah, that's correct. And we're sending all of that out in communication to our families and to our staff. I won't give you the exact numbers right now off the top of my head because I don't want to get them wrong, even in error. But we still have protocol for staff to notify us of the illness. And we've changed the way in which we're doing some of the masking protocol, as I've already addressed. And our own team, and I should say how much we appreciate our own nursing team here in this district and the great work that they've done, are doing different protocol as it relates to, we're not doing as much in contact tracing as we once would have done, as an example, and notifying others that they've been around someone who has reported to us that they've tested positive and that sort of thing. But we are still having a structure in place that will allow for that communication so that we can keep people safe.
Last year, it felt like the rules sort of went back and forth.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year, do you see this as sort of the new permanent, perhaps, procedures as far as masking, the sort of building by building, classroom by classroom philosophy?
Yeah, Zach, I appreciate that question, and I do suspect that this is the new normal for us for the time being. Now that's not to say, this, if you recall, when this pandemic started, I want to think back around March 16th of 2020. It's amazing I can remember the date, and that's because it was so right here in this section of the country, so much impact right then and there. The news was changing every couple of hours back in those days. And then a little time went by, and the pandemic was changing then, maybe every day or 2 days, and then every week or 2 weeks. And now, it appears to be on a slower course in terms of changing the way in which we're doing things. And so I do suspect that for the time being, this will be our, this targeted model for masking will be our mannerism for the protocol for the entirety of the district. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't be vigilant and watch if there's another strain that comes forward that we don't even know about as I talk to you today, and it's incredibly fast moving and that sort of thing. We certainly would make different decisions if that were the counsel of the health department. Separate from that, though, I do believe this is the new norm. We're a large district with a lot of buildings, a lot of people in different locations, and we just want to make certain we're working to keep them all safe.
There's also concerns about the amount of parents or the percent of parents that don't want to vaccinate their children. Is LPS encouraging parents to vaccinate them?
Yeah, so right now that's part of the reason that we're able to make these changes for the next school year and not have a universal mask mandate in place is because there are different tools that are available to all families in addition to masking. We know that masking works. I'm not arguing that it doesn't, but we've got other strategies that people can and likely in many cases should put in place, such as the vaccine that's available for anyone that's going forward, and certainly as they decide whether to get a booster shot or a second booster shot at a certain age or at a certain level of immunocompromised status, that they would get all of those things done. I encourage all to do what's right for them by considering all of those tools that are available, such as vaccinations, and we've looked at data, even in our own board meetings, that's really clear. Those who have the vaccine and the boosters that go with that, and those who have used the masks when there are large gatherings of people have been successful at preventing the real challenges of this virus having a significant outbreak. And so certainly we know that that's a tool that's available. We want our families to know that that's available to them and encourage them to make the decision that's right for them.
Are you able to track how many teachers and students have been vaccinated building by building? Does that play a part in the calculus for deciding?
Yeah, early on, as I recall from even before I worked here, Zach, this district sent out some sort of questionnaire. I don't know exactly how they did it in terms of who might be interested in receiving a vaccine when it became available, but that was the end of that, as I understand it. And the district does not track who has been vaccinated, who has not. There's not a requirement of our staff or students Certainly there are places all over the community where it's available to them should they desire to achieve that, but we do not track that number.
Another question that I had is LPS has different nationalities, or that comes from different parts of the world. For example, I'm Hispanic, my first language is Hispanic. What are the things that LPS is doing to tell this also to this community?
Oh, sure, and I appreciate that question. We have students in this district from over 100 different countries nationwide. We have over 130 home languages spoken in this district. And due to federal guidelines, we communicate in the 6 most pronounced languages that represent our student population. So we do that as just part of our protocol. And certainly we've got team members within our district who communicate throughout in different languages as well. Our website has features and functions available so that people can get, should they have connectivity and get to that, they can, access that in their home languages as well. And so we try to do everything that we can, but we acknowledge that the Lincoln Public Schools are really a global organization, and we're welcoming students from all over the world nearly every day, certainly every week in this community, and we've got to continue to do our part to serve them as they come forward to be a part of our team.
You mentioned that sort of worst case scenario if there's a new variant.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid that happens, but in that case, would you rule out bringing back universal masking?
Oh, I wouldn't rule anything out at this point in time. What this pandemic has taught us is to be flexible, to give each other grace and patience as we work to figure out what's best. So the question is, we've got this targeted model in place. Does that mean we will never go back to a universal mask mandate? And the answer I'd give today is no, I can't say that with certainty. We're tracking this progression of the pandemic. And right now we're confident that when we talk to the medical experts, to the health department, that our decision is a sound one for now, and that the targeted masking is the best strategy. But with that goal of keeping our schools open, if something were to change, if there were a variant and universal masking were necessary and recommended, we certainly will consider that when that time comes. I'm hopeful that it doesn't come at all, and at this time I don't predict it, but we'll move forward with this targeted model for the time being.
How does something like athletics play into a protocol when it's kind of out of the district's hand if you're playing another district that maybe has more relaxed COVID guidelines? What do maybe those conversations with the athletic department or student athletes look like on maybe keeping safe or when to report if they think they have?
Yeah, while we have those conversations with the other districts, you're absolutely correct in that every district has maybe just a little tweak or change to their own protocol. Much of it is the same, however, and yet within the athletics, the arts, the activities, we have to recognize that the performance aspect of that or the competition aspect of that is voluntary. And so if families have challenges with their own student engaging in a cross-state competition of some kind, that's something I guess that they will have to consider and make decisions that work best for them. We have great partnerships with the districts that are not only in the conferences and other groups that we belong to, and we're confident that they're doing similar things, if not the exact same things that we are. But certainly this is something to watch as we move forward.
Like every decision you make, there might be people that are okay with it, and there might be people that doesn't like those decisions. What can you say to those parents that are still concerned or maybe are not liking this decision?
Liking with respect to the masking?
Yeah. To the
Okay.
masking.
Yeah, I just wanted to make certain I understood your question. I am hearing from parents on all different sides of this issue. And very often when I hear from them, it's a very passionate plea to either do something more assertively or to do something far less assertively. And they all seem to believe that their perspective is the most accurate perspective, and frankly, at times it appears that they believe it's the only perspective that should be in the room at any given point in time. The truth of the matter is we don't make decisions based on those communications that way. What we've got to do is develop guiding priorities, such as our number one priority here. We've got to keep our schools open. And based on that being our priority, and that we want to keep all safe, we'll work with the district health, the health department, to make decisions that will yield those outcomes. We are not stopping anyone from wearing a mask if they would like to wear a mask. We are not directing anyone they must wear a mask at this point in time at any location, and I haven't said that yet today. You know, there is not, I've indicated we're using a targeted model. There is not currently a place in Lincoln that we know of that is such a target that they will begin the year in masks. And so, you know, we respect everyone's opinion. We know that people are passionate about this. We're thankful they have their students in our schools. We want to serve them and their students well. But at this point in time, we're going to use our guiding priorities to make our decisions.